Daeho Kim watched his ship's engine readouts turn from yellow to angry red. The numbers on his control panel told a story he did not want to hear. His exploration vessel, the Horizon Walker, was dying in the cold emptiness of space. The quantum doctor had failed 3 hours ago while he was studying ancient ruins on a dead planet. Now he drifted near the edge of known space, far from any human colony or trading route. His emergency beacon sent out its lonely signal, but Daeho knew no human ship would find him here for months. Through his viewing port, he could see a large structure in the distance. It looked like a mining station built into a massive asteroid. Strange lights moved across its surface, and long metal arms extended from its rocky body like the legs of some giant spider. The design was alien, unlike anything humans had built. Daeho checked his scanner. The station belonged to the Caliph, an insect-like species that kept to themselves. Most aliens in the galaxy avoided humans, thinking they were too violent and unpredictable. The Caliph were especially careful about who they let near their territories. His communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in heavily accented Standard Galactic, the common language used for trade and diplomacy. Human vessel, you are in restricted Caliph space. State your business or leave immediately. Daeho activated his transmitter. This is Explorer, Daeho Kim of Earth. My ship has suffered engine failure. I am requesting emergency assistance. A long silence followed. Daeho could imagine the aliens on the station discussing what to do with him. Finally, the voice returned. Human, I am Station Commander Veltar. Our protocols forbid contact with your species. You must find help elsewhere. Commander, my life support will fail in 18 hours. There is nowhere else to go. Another pause. That is unfortunate, but not our concern. Veltar out. The communication channel closed. Daeho stared at the mining station and felt a cold fear settle in his stomach. He had heard stories about human explorers who died alone in space, but he never thought it would happen to him. He spent the next hour checking every system on his ship, hoping to find something he had missed. The quantum drive was completely dead. His backup fusion engine could barely power life support. He was truly stranded. Then his sensors detected something alarming. A massive solar flare was building from the nearby star. The radiation burst would hit this area in less than 6 hours. His small ship could probably survive it, but that mining station looked old. Its shields might not hold against such a powerful blast. Daeho activated his transmitter again. Station Commander Veltar, this is Daeho Kim. You need to evacuate your station immediately. What are you talking about? Human, check your stellar sensors. A Class 9 solar flare is building. It will hit your position in approximately 5 hours and 40 minutes. The channel stayed open this time. Daeho could hear rapid clicking and chittering sounds in the background. The Caliph were talking to each other in their native language, and they sounded worried. Our sensors confirm your warning, Veltar said finally, but our evacuation ships are currently on mining runs in the outer system. They cannot return in time. What about your shields? They are old and weak. They will not survive a Class 9 flare. How did you detect this when our equipment did not? My ship has experimental sensors designed for deep space exploration. Commander, I have an idea that might help. Speak quickly. Daeho took a deep breath. My ship has a quantum resonator. It is designed to study ancient energy patterns, but it can also boost shield generators. If I dock with your station, I might be able to strengthen your shields enough to survive the flare. The chittering sounds grew louder. You would risk your life to help us. Why? Because it is the right thing to do, and because 200 lives are more important than one. Veltar was quiet for a long moment. How do you know how many of us are on this station? Your power signature tells me the size of your population. Look, we do not have time to debate this. The flare is getting stronger. Very well, human, you may dock at Bay 7. But if this is some kind of trick, it is not a trick. Commander, I am coming in now. Daeho fired his maneuvering thrusters and guided the Horizon Walker toward the mining station. As he got closer, he could see the alien structure more clearly. It was indeed built into a large asteroid, with metal corridors and chambers carved deep into the rock. The docking bay opened like a mouth, revealing a cavern lined with strange equipment. His ship settled onto the docking platform with a gentle thump. Through the airlock window, he could see several Caliph waiting for him. They looked like giant insects walking upright, with 4 arms and hard shells covering their bodies. Their faces had large compound eyes and mandibles that clicked. Nervously, one of them, wearing what looked like a commander's uniform, stepped forward. This had to be Veltar. Daeho activated his suit's translation system and opened the airlock. The Caliph commander towered over him, nearly 8 feet tall and covered in dark green chitin that gleamed under the station's lights. I am Veltar, the alien said. His voice was deep and buzzing, like a giant bee trying to speak. You are smaller than I expected. Most aliens say that about humans, Daeho replied. Where are your shield generators? A younger Caliph stepped forward. Her shell was lighter in color, and she moved with quick, nervous energy. I am Nixera, the station's chief engineer. I can show you to the power core. They walked through corridors carved from solid rock. The walls were covered with Calith writing that looked like tiny scratches and dots. Other aliens stopped their work to stare at Deho as he passed. Some clicked their mandibles in what he hoped was curiosity rather than hunger. The shield generator was a massive crystal formation, housed in a chamber at the station's center. It pulsed with blue energy, but the light was weak and unsteady. Your resonator can really boost this, Nixera asked. We will find out, Deho said. He began connecting his ship's quantum resonator to the Calith power systems. The alien technology was different from human designs, but energy was energy. He worked quickly, aware that time was running out. Flare intensity increasing. Velt announced through the communication system. Impact in 2 hours. Deho made the final connection and activated his resonator. The chamber filled with a bright white light as human and alien technology merged. The shield generator's crystal began to glow brighter, its energy output climbing steadily. It is working, Nixera said with excitement. Shield strength is increasing beyond normal parameters. When the solar flare hit the mining stations, shields held firm. The deadly radiation washed over them like a wave breaking against a rock. Deho watched the energy readings and smiled. They had done it. Human, Beltar said, after the flare had passed. You have saved us all. How can the Calith repay such a debt? 3 weeks after the solar flare incident, Ambassador Sujin Park was enjoying a quiet morning in her office on Luna Station when her priority communication system began flashing red. The secure channel indicator showed an incoming transmission from outside Earth's diplomatic network. Su-Jin had served as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Consortium for 5 years. She had handled disputes with dozens of alien species and navigated the complex politics of interstellar relations. But she had never received a direct contact from the Calith Confederacy. The holographic display activated, showing the tall insectoid figure of a Calith commander. His dark green shell gleamed under artificial lights, and his compound eyes reflected the glow of his ship's bridge behind him. Ambassador Park, the alien said in careful standard Galactic, I am Station Commander Veltar of the Calith Mining Collective. I must speak with Earth's leadership about a matter of great importance. Sujin leaned forward in her chair. The Calith were famous throughout the galaxy for avoiding contact with other species. Their last official communication with any government had been over 30 years ago. Commander Veltar, this is highly unusual. The Calith Confederacy typically conducts all external relations through the Consortium Council. May I ask what has prompted this direct contact? Veltar's mandibles clicked several times before he spoke. A human named Deho Kim recently saved my mining station and the lives of 200 Calith citizens. According to our ancient laws of honor, such a debt must be acknowledged and repaid. I wish to discuss terms of compensation with Earth directly. The ambassador's training kept her expression neutral, but inside she felt a surge of excitement. Direct diplomatic contact with the Calith could open doors that had been closed for decades. I see. Commander, would you be willing to provide more details about this incident? For the next 20 minutes, Beltar told the story of Deho's heroic actions. The human explorer had risked his own life to save an entire alien community, asking nothing in return. When the Calith offered to repair his ship as payment, Deho had simply thanked them and continued his mission. Such behavior is uncommon among the species we have encountered, Beltar explained. The Calith Council has decided that Earth deserves recognition for producing citizens of such character. We wish to establish formal relations between our peoples. Sujin felt her heart racing. This was the diplomatic breakthrough that could change Earth's position in galactic politics forever. Commander, Earth would be honored to discuss such an arrangement. However, I must consult with my government before making any commitments. Understood. I will await your response. After the transmission ended, Sujin immediately contacted Earth. Within hours, she was in a secure video conference with President Chen and the entire Earth Defense Council. This is incredible, said Admiral Hyan-Wu Li, commander of Earth's Third Fleet. The Calith have never shown interest in any alliance before. Their technology and resources could be invaluable. We need to be careful, warned General Morrison. Other species might see this as Earth gaining an unfair advantage. The Drakmor Empire, especially, will not be happy about this development. Jaemin Choi, director of Earth Exploration Command, nodded in agreement. Deho Kim is one of our best deep space explorers. I am not surprised he made such a positive impression. But we need to consider the political implications. President Chen listened to the discussion before speaking. Ambassador Park, please inform Commander Veltar that Earth accepts his offer to establish relations. However, we suggest that any formal meetings take place under consortium oversight to avoid accusations of secret dealings. Sujin returned to her office and sent the response. Veltar's reply came within hours. Earth's wisdom in suggesting consortium oversight shows the same honor your explorer displayed. The Calith Confederacy agrees to this arrangement. We propose a formal meeting at Nexus Station in 30 days. News of the upcoming meeting spread quickly through galactic communication networks. Within days, representatives from dozens of species began requesting permission to observe the proceedings. On the bridge of the Drakmor battleship Bloodfang, Warlord Krexmoth studied intelligence reports about the Calith Earth meeting. The Drakmor were a warrior species who believed that strength was the only truth in the universe. They had been trying to intimidate the Calith into trade agreements for years without success. The humans have done in weeks what we could not accomplish in decades, growled his intelligence officer. If Earth gains access to Calith resources and technology, they could become a serious threat to our expansion plans. Krexmith's scaled lips pulled back in a predatory smile. Then we must ensure that this alliance never comes to pass. Prepare our propaganda networks. I want every species in the consortium to believe that Earth is using the Calith for military purposes. Meanwhile, in the shadowy council chambers of the Vorth Collective, Mindweaver Escala discussed the situation with her fellow conspirators. The Vorth were masters of manipulation and political intrigue, preferring to control others through debt and blackmail rather than direct confrontation. The Calith possessed defensive technologies that could upset the balance of power we have spent centuries creating, Escala hissed. If humans gain access to these systems, they might become impossible to control. What do you suggest? Asked another Vorth. We plant seeds of doubt. Spread rumors that Earth's explorer was actually a spy sent to infiltrate Calith space. The other species believe that humans planned this whole encounter from the beginning. Across the galaxy, the machinery of politics and propaganda began turning. Within days, news networks carried stories questioning Earth's motives. Some reports suggested that Daeho Kim had deliberately damaged his own ship to create an excuse for contact. Others claimed that Earth was planning to use Calith mining stations as secret military bases. Back on Earth, Admiral Hyan Wuli received reports of the growing anti-human sentiment with concern. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, propaganda against us is increasing daily. The Drakmor and Vorth are clearly working together to undermine the Calith alliance before it can begin. Admiral Lee studied the reports. What is the mood among other species? Mixed. Some are genuinely concerned about Earth gaining too much influence. Others are simply jealous that we achieved what they could not. But there are also species who admire what Daeho did and support the alliance. And the Caliph. Are they wavering? No, sir. Commander Veltar has made several public statements defending both Daeho's character and Earth's intentions. He seems completely committed to the alliance. 2 weeks before the scheduled meeting, Daeho Kim returned to Earth from his exploration mission. He was surprised to find himself at the center of a galactic controversy. I was just trying to save lives, he told Ambassador Park during their briefing. I never intended to create a diplomatic incident. You did nothing wrong, Sujin assured him. In fact, your actions may have opened a door to peace that has been closed for decades. But you should know that not everyone is happy about this development. What do you mean? Some species are spreading rumors that you are a spy or that Earth planned this whole situation. The Drakmor are particularly vocal in their accusations. Daeho shook his head. Veltar and his people know the truth. They were there. They saw what happened. That may not be enough. Politics in space can be very different from the simple act of helping someone in need. As the date of the meeting approached, tensions continued to rise throughout the galaxy. Fleet movements were reported near several borders. Trade routes experienced mysterious delays and disruptions. The careful balance of galactic politics was shifting, and no one could predict where it would settle. On the night before departure to Nexus Station, Sujin stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, looking out at the stars. Tomorrow would determine whether Earth gained a powerful new ally or found itself facing increased hostility from jealous competitors. Her communication device chimed. A message from Commander Veltar appeared on the screen. Ambassador Park, I want you to know that the Calith people will not be swayed by the lies being spread about your species. We judge others by their actions, not by the words of their enemies. Tomorrow, the galaxy will see the true character of both our peoples. Sujin smiled as she read the message. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Earth would face them with honor intact and a friend by their side. Nexus Station hung in space like a massive metal flower, its petals made of docking bays and meeting halls. The enormous diplomatic hub served as neutral ground for the Galactic Consortium, where hundreds of species came to settle disputes and make treaties. Today, it buzzed with more activity than it had seen in decades. Ambassador Sujin Park stepped off her transport ship and marveled at the crowds. Aliens of every shape and size filled the corridors. Some walked on legs, others floated on energy fields, and a few rolled along on mechanical wheels. All of them had come to witness something that many thought impossible. The Caliph making their first diplomatic alliance in over 30 years. Subin Han, Earth's chief diplomat, met Sujin at the airlock. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and silver hair, known throughout the galaxy for her skill at reading alien body language and intentions. The situation is tense, Subin said as they walked toward the main conference hall. Half the species here think we are heroes for helping the Caliph. The other half think we are scheming to gain military advantage. What about the Consortium Council? Council Prime Keth has agreed to oversee the ceremony. But even the Ethereals seem nervous about what this alliance might mean. The balance of power has been stable for so long that any change makes everyone worried. They passed a group of Drakmor warriors whose red scales gleamed under the station's lights. The reptilian aliens watched the humans with obvious hostility, their forked tongues tasting the air as if searching for signs of deception. Warlord Krexmoth arrived yesterday with a full battle fleet, Subin whispered. He claims it is for protection, but everyone knows it is meant to intimidate us. Near the conference hall entrance, a cluster of pale, ethereal beings floated in meditation poses. These were the Vorth Collective, masters of mental manipulation and political intrigue. Their leader, Mindweaver Escala, opened her large black eyes as the humans passed and smiled with too many teeth. The main hall was a vast sphere with viewing galleries, arranged in concentric circles around a central platform. Representatives from over 50 species filled the seats, their various breathing apparatus and translation devices, creating a constant background hum of activity. At the center of the platform stood Council Prime Keth, one of the ancient who had helped establish the consortium centuries ago. His translucent blue form glowed with inner light, and when he spoke, his words appeared simultaneously in dozens of languages through neural implants. We gathered today to witness an unprecedented event, Keth announced. The Caliph Confederacy has requested formal diplomatic relations with Earth. This marks the first time in 31 standard years that the Caliph have initiated contact with any species. A murmur ran through the crowd. Even though everyone knew why they were here, hearing it stated officially made it seem more real and more dangerous. The massive doors at one end of the hall opened with a deep rumbling sound. Commander Vel entered, followed by an honor guard of 12 Caliph warriors. Their dark shells had been polished to mere brightness, and they carried ceremonial weapons that hummed with contained energy. But it was what Veltar carried that made the entire assembly fall silent. In his forearms, the Caliph commander held a crystal formation the size of a human torso. It pulsed with deep blue light that seemed to come from within its molecular structure. Ancient symbols covered its surface, glowing and fading in patterns that hurt to look at directly. By the void, someone whispered in the crowd, "Is that what I think it is?" Subin grabbed Sujin's arm. "Do you know what that is?" "No, should I?" "That is a fleet call crystal. I have only seen pictures in archaeological texts. The Caliph stopped making them over 1,000 years ago." Veltar approached the platform with slow, ceremonial steps. Each footfall echoed in the silent hall. When he reached the center, he set the crystal on a specially prepared pedestal and stepped back. "People of the galaxy," Veltar said, his voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. 3 weeks ago, a human named Daeho Kim saved the lives of 200 Caliph citizens. He risked his own life to protect strangers, asking nothing. In return, such honor demands recognition. The crystal's glow intensified, casting blue shadows across the watching faces. According to our most ancient laws, a debt of life can only be repaid with a bond of trust. Today, the Caliph Confederacy offers Earth the Fleet Call Crystal, symbol of our deepest alliance. When activated, this beacon will summon any and all Caliph forces to aid our human friends in their time of greatest need. The gasps and from the crowd were so loud that the translation systems struggled to process them all. Several species began talking at once, their representatives gesturing wildly as they realized what they were witnessing. "This is impossible," growled Warlord Krexmoth from his gallery. "The Caliph have never trusted anyone with such power. This must be some kind of trick." But Council Prime Keth was studying the crystal with ancient eyes. "I was present when the last fleet call crystal was given, over 900 years ago. This is genuine, and it represents a level of trust that has no equal in modern galactic history." Subin stepped forward to accept the crystal on behalf of Earth. As her hands touched its surface, the blue glow spread up her arms like liquid light. For a moment, her consciousness touched something vast and alien, a network of minds connected across space and time. "Earth accepts this gift with humility and honors the trust it represents," she said formally. "We pledge to use this bond only in defense of peace and justice." The ceremony should have ended there, but suddenly alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red warning lights flashed as an emergency transmission appeared on the main display screen. "This is Admiral Chen of the UES Defiance," a human voice said over the communication system. "We are under attack at the New Harmony colony. Drakmor battle fleets appeared without warning and are firing on civilian targets. We need immediate assistance." The hall erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted accusations at each other, while the Drakmor delegation tried to look surprised by the news. But Warlord Krexmoth's reaction was too slow, and several sharp-eyed diplomats noticed his lack of genuine shock. "This is clearly a human false flag operation," Escala announced. her mental voice cutting through the noise. They arranged this attack to make themselves look like victims and justify using their new Kalith alliance for military purposes. That is a lie, Subin shot back. Earth has no reason to attack our own colony, but the damage was done. The assembly now looked at the humans with suspicion, wondering if this had all been planned from the beginning. Commander Veltar stepped forward, his compound eyes reflecting the emergency lights. If there are humans in danger, then there are friends of the Kalith in danger. He placed one of his hands on the fleet call crystal. The ancient artifact blazed with blue fire, its light visible even through the station's hull. Across the galaxy, every Kalith ship and station would see that signal and know what it meant. The debt of honor is called, Veltar announced. The Kalith fleet will answer. As if his words were a signal, space around Nexus Station filled with new arrivals. Kalith warships emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their organic hulls bristling with defensive weaponry. Within minutes, a fleet of over 200 vessels surrounded the diplomatic station. This is Kalith Battle Prime Zexon, a new voice announced over the communication channels. All vessels, stand down. This system is now under Kalith protection while we investigate these attacks on our human allies. Warlord Krexmith realized his plan had backfired spectacularly. Instead of making Earth look aggressive, the attack had triggered exactly the kind of alliance he had hoped to prevent. The Kalith were now committed to defending humanity, and their sudden display of military might shocked everyone who had assumed they were merely peaceful miners and farmers. You have made a grave mistake, human Krexmith snarled at Subin. This alliance will bring nothing but war. The only mistake was yours, Velta replied before the human diplomat could speak. You attacked friends of the Kalith. Now you must face the consequences. As reports came in of the Kalith fleet moving to defend New Harmony, other species began reconsidering their positions. The isolationist Kalith had just demonstrated military capabilities that no one had suspected they possessed. In her private thoughts, Mindweaver Escala realized that the situation was spiraling beyond anyone's control. The Drakmor attack had been meant to discredit Earth, but instead, it had created exactly the kind of strong alliance that the Vorth Collective feared most. Council Prime Keth called for order. But everyone could see that the galaxy had changed. Forever, the age of Kalith isolation was over, and no one knew what would come next. The Kalith homeworld of Velkith was a garden paradise that few outsiders had ever seen. Crystal cities grew from living trees while underground networks of tunnels connected vast hive-like structures. Commander Veltar stood in the council chamber, deep beneath the planetary capital, as he prepared to reveal secrets that his people had guarded for centuries. Around the circular chamber, hundreds of Kalith elders gathered in their ceremonial shells that gleamed with age and wisdom. At the center of the room, a holographic display showed star maps of the local galaxy cluster. But these maps contained information that would terrify most species. Admiral Hyan Woolley of Earth's Third Fleet sat in a specially constructed chair designed for human visitors. His uniform looked simple compared to the ornate shells surrounding him. But his presence here marked the first time any non-Kalith had been allowed into these sacred chambers. Admiral Lee, Elder Prime Kethver, began, her ancient voice carrying the weight of centuries. What we share with you today must never leave this chamber without council approval. The survival of all galactic civilization may depend on the secrets we are about to reveal. The holographic display changed, showing images that made Admiral Lee's blood run cold. Dark shapes moved between the stars, devouring everything in their path. Entire solar systems were reduced to empty space, their stars extinguished and their planets consumed. We call them the Void Swarm, Veltar explained. They come from the space between galaxies, consuming all matter and energy they encounter. 3 years ago, our deep space sensors detected their approach. They will reach the outer rim of our galaxy within 6 months. How is this possible? Admiral Lee asked. The consortium's long-range sensors should have detected something this massive. Elder Prime Kethver clicked her mandibles. Sadly, the Void Swarm travels in a way that makes them invisible to most scanning technologies. Only our ancient biosensors, grown rather than built, can detect their unique energy signature. Why have you not warned the other species? Because we discovered something else, Veltar said grimly. The swarm has help from within our galaxy. Someone has been feeding them information about our defenses and weaknesses. The display changed again, showing communication intercepts and data trails that painted a disturbing picture. Encrypted messages traveled from Drakmor space to the void between galaxies. Resource shipments disappeared from official records only to reappear in restricted military zones. The Drakmor Empire has made a deal with the Void Swarm, Admiral Lee realized. They are helping the invaders in exchange for being spared. Worse than that, said a new voice. Everyone turned as a figure stepped from the shadows at the edge of the chamber. It was Mindweaver Escala of the Vorth Collective, but she looked different. Her usual pale skin was marked with scars, and her movements spoke of exhaustion rather than her typical smooth confidence. Mindweaver, Elder Prime, Kethver said with surprise. We did not expect you. The Vorth Collective has been fighting a secret war against Drakmor infiltrators for 2 years, Eskala explained. We thought we were dealing with simple espionage, but now we understand the true scope of their betrayal. They have been mapping our defenses and reporting our military capabilities to the Void Swarm. Admiral Lee studied the alien carefully. And you came here to warn us. I came here because the Vorth Collective realizes we cannot survive this threat alone. Despite our reputation for manipulation, we prefer a galaxy with multiple species to rule over, rather than a galaxy consumed by extragalactic parasites. Veltar activated another display, showing the current positions of all major fleets in the galaxy. The attack on your colony was meant to prevent Earth from joining our alliance. The Drakmor knew that human military innovation combined with Caliph defensive technology could threaten their plans. What exactly are you asking of Earth? Admiral Lee wanted to know. Elder Prime Kethver leaned forward in her ancient shell. The Void Swarm will reach our outer territories in less than 6 months. When they arrive, they will find the Drakmor Empire ready to guide them to the most valuable targets. We need Earth's fleet to help us prepare defenses and coordinate resistance. How many ships are we talking about? Everything, Veltar said simply. The initial probe attacks will involve millions of Void Swarm creatures. Each one is the size of a battlecruiser and powered by consumed matter. Only a united galactic defense has any chance of survival. Back on Earth, Admiral Lee's report caused an emergency session of the Defense Council. President Chen sat at the head of the table while military leaders and scientists reviewed the Caliph intelligence data. This explains so much, said Minho Park, Earth's chief intelligence officer. The strange resource movements we have been tracking. The Drakmor Empire's recent military buildup, even their aggressive expansion into neutral territories. They were preparing to serve as guides for an invasion force. Can we trust this information? Asked General Morrison. The Caliph and Vorth both have their own agendas. The data is too detailed to be fabricated, Minho replied. And it matches intelligence patterns we have been puzzling over for months. The Drakmor have definitely been preparing for something big. Admiral So-Young Kim, commander of Earth's home fleet, studied the tactical displays. If these numbers are accurate, we are facing an extinction-level threat. The Void Swarm could consume our entire galaxy within a few years. Then we have no choice. President Chen decided. Contact all fleet commanders. Initiate defense protocol, Omega. Every available ship and resource is to be mobilized immediately. Sir, Admiral Lee interjected. There is something else. The Caliph have offered to share their biosensor technology and defensive innovations. In exchange, they want access to our quantum drive systems and tactical computing networks. Approved. This is not the time for keeping secrets. As Earth's military machine began its massive mobilization, similar discussions were taking place on dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. The Caliph had sent envoys to every major species, sharing their intelligence and requesting alliance against the common threat. Some species responded with immediate cooperation, others demanded proof before committing their fleets. A few, suspecting Caliph manipulation, refused to believe the threat was real. But in the deep space monitoring stations at the galaxy's edge, sensor operators began detecting the first signs of the approaching storm. Long-range scouts reported finding empty star systems where thriving civilizations had existed just months before. Trade routes that had operated for centuries suddenly went silent. Captain Jin Ho-yoon, of the UES Indomitable, was leading a patrol. Near the rim, when his sensors detected something that should not have existed, a massive object was moving through space at impossible speeds, consuming asteroids and space debris like a living thing. Captain, his sensor officer reported, that object is definitely artificial, but it is not following any known technology patterns. It seems to be converting matter directly into energy and using that energy for propulsion. Distance and size. Approximately 200 kilometers long and moving at 60% light speed. At current trajectory, it will reach the Caliph outer colonies in 72 hours. Captain Ginho activated his fleet communication system. All ships, this is Indomitable. We have contact with what appears to be a Void Swarm scout. Transmitting data to Fleet Command now. The scout creature seemed to sense the human ships watching it. Without warning, it changed course and began accelerating toward them. Its surface rippled and shifted, forming weapon ports that glowed with the same energy it used for movement. Evasive maneuvers, Captain Jinho ordered. All weapons, prepare to fire. The battle was brief but terrifying. The Void Swarm scout shrugged off most human weapons as if they were insect bites. Only direct hits from quantum torpedoes seemed to cause any real damage. When the creature finally died, it collapsed into a sphere of dark matter that made nearby space itself seem to bend and twist. Captain, his communication officer reported. We are receiving a priority transmission from the Caliph homeworld. Commander, Veltar's image appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Admiral Lee and several other Earth officers were visible in what looked like a war room. Captain Yoon, your encounter confirms our worst fears. The Void Swarm advanced scouts have arrived. Ahead of schedule, the main invasion force will follow within weeks, not months. What are our orders, sir? Return to Earth immediately. Every available ship is being recalled for the defense of our core systems. The real war is about to begin. As the and its escort ships jumped to hyperspace, Captain Jinho wondered if they would arrive in time to make a difference. Behind them, space itself seemed to darken as more shapes moved in the void between stars. The galaxy's greatest test was approaching, and no one knew if the hastily formed alliance between humans and Calith would be enough to survive what was coming. The space around the Calith homeworld had become the largest gathering of warships in galactic history. Thousands of vessels from dozens of species formed defensive lines around Valkith, their combined firepower representing the united strength of civilized worlds. But everyone knew it would not be enough. Admiral So-Young Kim stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Determination, and watched the sensor displays with growing concern. The Void Swarm main force was only hours away, and their numbers were beyond anything the defenders had imagined. Millions of dark shapes moved through space like a plague of locusts, consuming everything in their path. Admiral, her communication officer reported, incoming priority transmission from Earth Command. The holographic display activated, showing Fleet Admiral Park seated in what looked like a completely different command center than usual. Behind him, dozens of officers worked at stations displaying ship movements on a scale that So-Young had never seen before. Admiral Kim, Fleet Admiral Park began. Operation Deep Bond is now active. You are about to see what Earth truly means when we make a promise to our friends. Sir, I do not understand. We already have every available Earth fleet here. Fleet, Admiral Park smiled grimly. No, Admiral, you have our 3rd, 5th, and 7th fleets. You are about to meet the rest of Earth's military. The space around Velkith suddenly filled with new hyperspace signatures. So-Young watched in amazement as fleet after fleet emerged from jump points that had been invisible moments before. These were not the familiar ship designs of Earth's regular navy. These vessels were larger, more advanced, and bore markings she had never seen. Admiral, her sensor officer said with shock in his voice, I am reading over 15,000 new Earth vessels. These signatures do not match any ships in our databases. Commander Velteres' voice came over the communication channel from the planetary surface. By the void, what are these ships? They are huge. Fleet Admiral Park's image reappeared on the main display. Admiral Kim, allow me to introduce the 1st through 6th Earth fleets, the Strategic Reserve Corps, the Deep Space Defense Force, and the ships from our classified shipyard programs. So-Young felt her mouth fall open. Sir, how is this possible? Intelligence reports indicated that Earth only maintained 8 active fleets. Those were the fleets we allowed other species to know about. The real Earth Navy has been preparing for a threat like this since we first ventured into space. Every hidden asteroid base, every secret shipyard, every experimental vessel we have built in the last 50 years is now here. One of the new arrivals dwarfed even the largest Calith capital ships. The massive vessel was over 10 kilometers long and bristled with weapon systems that defied conventional ship design. Its hull seemed to bend light around it, making it difficult to look at directly. That is the EU's inevitable, Fleet Admiral Park explained. Our first planet-killer battleship. We built it hoping we would never need to use it. Taejong Ko, captain of another experimental vessel called the UES Breakthrough, opened a channel to the command frequency. Admiral Kim, this is Captain K. My ship carries the new quantum disruption weapons. We are ready to test them against extragalactic targets. Across the defensive formation, similar reports came in from ships with technologies that most Earth citizens had never heard of. Stealth, frigates that could phase through solid matter, carriers that launched swarms of self-replicating fighter drones, cruisers equipped with weaponized black hole generators. But the most shocking revelation came when Young Soo Lim, now an admiral and Daeho's former crewmate, contacted the command ship from a vessel that looked like it was built from living metal. Admiral Kim, this is Admiral Lim, aboard the UES Evolution. We have successfully integrated Calith biotechnology with human engineering. Our ships can now heal damage in real time and adapt their weapons to enemy defenses automatically. Commander Veltar's voice carried wonder and disbelief. You created hybrid technology in just weeks. Such integration should take years of careful development. Commander, Fleet Admiral Park replied, when Earth makes a promise, we do not hold anything back. Your people shared their most precious secrets with us. We have done the same in return. The first Void Swarm scouts entered the outer edge of the star system and immediately encountered something they had never faced before. Earth's stealth ships had deployed quantum minefields that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. When the dark creatures tried to consume the mines, they found themselves being consumed instead. Contact, reported Captain Jinho, from the UES Indomitable. Void Swarm advanced elements are engaging our outer perimeter. The new weapons are incredibly effective. Haewon Song, the military architect who had designed the new fleet formations, watched from her command ship as her strategies unfolded. The human fleets did not fight like any previous galactic force. Instead of forming rigid battle lines, they flowed like water around the enemy, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the Void Swarm could respond. All ships, execute Formation Delta 7, Admiral Soyoung ordered. Show these invaders what happens when you threaten our friends. The main Void Swarm force arrived like a dark wave crashing against the defenders. But instead of the easy victory they expected, they found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to multiply before their eyes. Every time they destroyed a human ship, two more appeared to take its place from hidden reserves. The Caliph defenders watched in awe as Earth's true military might revealed itself. These were not just more ships. These were weapons and technologies that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. Gravity cannons that created artificial black holes. Time dilation fields that slowed enemy movements while accelerating friendly forces. Energy weapons that burned with the power of newborn stars. But perhaps the most devastating surprise came when the Void Swarm tried to retreat. They found their escape routes blocked by massive ships that had not been there moments before. Earth's experimental jump gate technology allowed instant reinforcement and repositioning on a scale that made traditional fleet tactics obsolete. Impossible, Mindweaver Escala whispered from her observation post. Earth has been hiding military capabilities that rival entire galactic empires. How did our intelligence networks miss this? The answer came from an unexpected source. Warlord Crexmouth, whose betrayal had helped trigger this crisis, found himself trapped between advancing human forces and the very Void Swarm creatures he had tried to serve. You want to know how they hid it? He snarled over an open channel. Because humans lie differently than other species. They do not lie about what they have. They lie about what they are willing to use. The battle raged for 3 days, but the outcome was never really in doubt after Earth's hidden fleets arrived. The Void Swarm had consumed galaxies before, but they had never faced an enemy that treated the defense of friends as a sacred duty, requiring total commitment. When the last Void Swarm creature was destroyed, the combined fleet did not stop at victory. Following Admiral Hien Wuli's strategic plan, they pursued the scattered survivors back through the void between galaxies, ensuring that this threat could never return. 1 year later, Daeho Kim stood on the observation deck of a joint Earth research station in what had once been Void Swarm territory. They had found dozens of civilizations that had been enslaved rather than consumed, and Earth's diplomats were already working to integrate these grateful peoples into an expanded galactic community. Commander Veltar joined him at the viewing port, looking out at the construction of humanity's first intergalactic city. Do you ever regret stopping to help that day? Veltar asked. Daeho smiled and shook his head. I just did what anyone would do. I saw people in danger and tried to help. That is exactly what makes your species so remarkable, Veltar replied. Most beings help others when it is convenient or profitable. Humans help others when it is necessary. The difference has changed the galaxy forever. Outside the station, Earth ships continued their patrols of the liberated territories while Caliph vessels worked to restore damaged worlds. The galaxy had learned that when humanity made a friend, they gained not just an ally, but a people willing to move stars to keep their promises. The age of human expansion had begun not through conquest, but through the simple act of one explorer, who chose to save strangers rather than save himself. And the galaxy would never be the same.